The former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair has announced he wants to get his hands dirty in politics again. He set himself a goal of dissuading the British public over Brexit, but it seems though he may not be winning over that many people.
The people voted without knowledge of the terms of Brexit. As these terms become clear, it is their right to change their mind. Our mission is to persuade them to do so.
It's horrendous. No, it's not a good thing. He's had his time.
I think most people just wish he would go away. Why is he getting involved?
If he's the person who comes out and presents himself as the spokesperson for either soft Brexit or the UK rejoining the EU, that will only serve to actually weaken and not strengthen that campaign.
What about you? I mean, you're not in the House of Lords. You could fight for a seat again.
It would liven things up, yes, but possibly not.
So we can take that as a no. You will not be standing in this election.
Yeah, you can take that as a no, yeah.
The legacy of the Iraq War and his responsibility for the crimes of the Iraq War means that a lot of people will just regard him as someone who should definitely not get back into politics.
Well, his reputation for being a warmonger isn't busted. That's still intact.
I mean, really, he should be in prison. He's a war criminal.
I mean, the problem with all of that is that, you know, what you were saying turned out to be wrong, didn't it?
Yeah, and, you know, there's never enough times that you can apologise for the intelligence being wrong.
Mr. Blair had been warned, however, that military action would increase the threat from al-Qaeda to the UK and UK interests. He had also been warned that an invasion might lead to Iraq's weapons and capabilities being transferred into the hands of terrorists.
The reaction to the war has kind of destroyed your political life.
Not for me, it's not. I mean, you know, people say that.
Though it seems, even if Tony Blair makes it back into politics, he will be swimming against the tide to keep the UK in the EU, especially given recent issues between the current Prime Minister and the EU's chief, as Miguel Francis Santiago now explains.
Usually the unelected EU Commission chief, Mr. Jean-Claude Juncker, is very friendly when it comes to female politicians, even male politicians, like very friendly. When it comes to British PM Theresa May, there has been somewhat of a cold snap, perhaps because Brexit is a pain in EU's neck.
Handshake. Handshake.
It was excellent. I'm not talking about the food.
The dinner was excellent, but not the food, huh? Well, to clarify, according to sources, Juncker phoned the German Chancellor Angela Merkel after that dinner to complain that Theresa May lives in another galaxy and was being delusional.
I think it's Brussels gossip. No, look, I'm not in a different galaxy, but I think what this shows, and what some of the other comments we've seen coming from European leaders shows, is that there are going to be times when these negotiations are going to be tough.
And for some after-dinner entertainment, Juncker met with a notorious businessman, the prime-time globalist, George Soros, who is believed to have his hands in everything EU. Why could this be relevant? Well, because during Juncker's dinner at 10 Downing Street, he claimed Britain will face an early economic crash if London doesn't play along with the demands. One of those is a $50 billion divorce bill that Britain should pay, according to the EU. However, the UK lawyers say there is nothing in the prenup agreement that obligates such a payment for this breakup. For dessert, Mr. Juncker even served up two huge piles of paper, Croatia's EU entry deal and Canada's free trade deal, perhaps trying to intimidate May, making the point that Brexit isn't going to pass easily.
We now just see how undemocratic this European Union political superstate is. I think Jean-Claude Juncker is outrageous in some of the things he's saying. I mean, this is a remarkable organisation, isn't it? They decided the rules for joining. Nobody ever decided what the rules were for leaving. It is a bit like the Eagles song, Hotel California. You can check in, but nobody ever checks out.
I'm leaving 10 Downing Street 10 times more sceptical than before.
But this isn't stopping May. She still firmly believes that Brexit needs to happen, and the sooner, the better, no matter how tough it will get.
Genuinely, in your heart of hearts, believe that no deal would be better than a bad deal?
Yes, I do. I wouldn't have said it if I didn't believe that.
All we can do now is get a big box of popcorn and let the wrestling match between the EU and May begin. So who is going to come out all arms swinging? This is going to be one fight you don't want to miss. Miguel Francis Santiago, RT.